ZNS Total Sports, brought to you by Thurs Diagnostic Center.
Good evening all and welcome to your second look at sports. Yes, I'm Charles Fisher. The Battle for Atlantis basketball tournament will take place the Thanksgiving weekend. Today, details on the tournament were announced.
With the caliber of teams we're bringing here, right, it's going to be automatic every year that the names that you associate with quality, top shelf basketball, you're going to have them. So last year, the top names were Coach K and Rick Pitino. I mean, they come with their teams. Yeah. It isn't like,
And they're rock stars.
And so when we have this caliber and also, too, it's also interesting about something like this because of the level of teams. The guys who, because it is the guys who you didn't know about, who emerges, who all of a sudden everyone gets to see. Right. And all of a sudden you go, we first saw him there.
If you've been following sports, you know that the Government School Sports Association sports season is on hold. We had a chance to speak with Evan Wisdom of the Ministry of Education. He's the sports officer. There were some cutbacks, especially at the cross-country level.
This is our major thrust right now is 5 core sports. The 5 core sports which are endorsed by the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture. And we thought it most important that we continue at best to fund those particular core sports. We lost a significant amount of funding, and most government corporations have done that. After speaking to the director, we are actively looking at finding a way, and director's been very, very cooperative, finding a way to get those, to save in another area, what have you, to get those funds back to continue cross-country next year. But at this particular point, and with the cut, we could not finance cross-country this year. But we hopefully next year we're able to find monies from other areas in order to amalgamate those monies to take care of cross-country for next year.
The National Hall of Fame induction ceremony will be held next week, Friday, November 22nd at Government House. Director of Sports Timothy Munning says that these athletes deserve what's due to them.
This Hall of Fame institution, the Sports Hall of Fame, first began in 1989. And it's very important that we continue to recognize and appreciate those persons that have gone before us to set the standards that we now aspire. And this is why I think this is what has led to the success that we have today. We have the Golden Knights, we have the Golden Girls, we have softball teams that are excelling, volleyball teams that are doing well. And it's important for us to remind everybody that these teams that are succeeding now didn't just happen. They happened because someone laid a foundation before them. And so it's important that, once again, that we remind everybody and remind those persons that went before us that we appreciate what they've done and we thank them for where we are today.
Recently, Jim Stokel of Cincinnati Reds of Major League Baseball was in town to conduct a camp. He spoke about underage players and the requirements into the major leagues.
We had a large group today of 13 to 16-year-old players, so they're still very involved with their families and need to have families advising them. The biggest thing that's changed with Major League Baseball is you can sign a contract if you live outside the United States and are not draft eligible when you're 16, but you have to go through a registration process today. Basically, that it just, you're showing your identity to be what it is, and that gets you in Major League Baseball's database. It also informs all the other clubs. So we have an opportunity to make players a first offer when they're 16 years old, but they have to be registered. So part of this is in informing people of this registration process, which costs nothing. It just gets you in the major league system, but also to help guys know that they might have an opportunity to go to school. If they want to go to high school or college, that's also a good route. And just generally, what can families do to help their talented sons get better at the game?
He also spoke about facilities here in the Bahamas, and they are willing to come here for spring training and to play.
Major League Baseball has an international group now as an industry, and Major League Baseball International is cooperating with countries in Europe to do an academy. So they run an academy in Europe for 17 days in August. They're doing the same thing with the Australian Baseball Federation. Both of these academies have been running now for about 7, 8, 9 years. I think Major League Baseball is looking at other places, particularly in the Caribbean, like I go to Curacao, there are a lot of talented players in Curacao. I think this would be an ideal spot to run either a weekend academy or a week-long academy, and in doing that you could use local coaches. They could bring ex-Major League people in here, you know, help improve facilities, do a lot of different things. There's a lot of possibility with that. So I work for the Reds first, Major League Baseball second, but I see the Major League people a lot, and I certainly will support that and propose that, and hopefully that happens.
Well, the Peace Run is this coming Saturday. It will go through the streets of New Providence. Oriel Wood of the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture tells us about the route.
The torch run will begin at the TAR Stadium. We will move north onto Thompson Boulevard, continuing north into Nassau Street, north to West Bay Street. West Bay Street, east along Bay Street to Victoria Avenue, south along Victoria to Shirley Street, west on Shirley Street to East Street, south along East Street to Wolf Road, east along Wolf Road to Marathon Road, south on Marathon, west onto East-West Highway along to Blue Hill Road, north along Blue Hill Road to Ponciana Drive, and west along Ponciana Drive to Thompson Boulevard. West along Thompson Boulevard to back to the Sports Center, and we'll end at where we began at the TAR Stadium.
The race or relay format?
You would have persons stationed at various points in the run, and so once a group reaches that particular point where another group will receive the torch will be exchanged, and the runners can continue after the new group would have received the torch and run away. But we have lots of runners here. All of these are runners, and they will aspire to run the entire course. And so those of us who feel brave enough to run the entire course will continue along with these great runners.
And that's going to do it for Sports Thursday. I'm Charles Fisher. Thanks for watching.
This is ZNS Total Sports, brought to you by 4th Terrace Diagnostic Center.